Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Dr. Spalding, good to see you. A little known fact, Senator Welch, I am a former intern for Dr. Spalding many, many years ago. You can blame him for many things.
You know, no, I've been searching for the reason
Yeah.
why every once in a while I think you're pretty smart.
Oh, there you go. There you go. But can I just ask you, you've written so many books that have emphasized, that have excavated the shared principles on which the country is founded, that have tried to make those available, unpack those for the country. And this is an especially important year for that. But could you talk just a little bit, I know you're passionate about education. Can you talk about the importance of education, teaching those, propounding those principles to the next generation? It seems that this is an area where, frankly, we have a lot of work to do in this country.
America's future isn't shaped only by elections or the economy. During this Senate hearing, lawmakers raised a much deeper question. What happens when a nation fails to pass its founding principles to the next generation? The testimony you're about to hear argues that America's biggest challenge may not be political at all. It may be educational.
Thank you, Senator, for that excellent question, great topic. I can try to give a brief, focused answer to that. I've been teaching this for a long time, and the one thing I've come to realize is that the way we teach at various appropriate age levels is crucial. I'll explain it this way. Noah Webster, the great educational thinker at the time of the founding, wrote extensively about how American education be focused on reading, writing, and arithmetic. But a republican government, a government in which self-governing citizens will rule, has an additional obligation to form them as citizens.
This is where the discussion takes an unexpected turn. The argument isn't just about improving schools or test scores, it's about whether education should also prepare students to become informed citizens who understand their country's history, institutions, and responsibilities. That debate has become one of the most controversial issues in America today.
But he also observed, which I think is very correct, how you form them depends on the age. We're having a very hot, I think very serious intellectual debate at the university level about what America means and various ideas we're talking about here, which I happily engage in and defend that history. But I think it's important we don't miss that how you form younger students, by which I include those at home when they're small children, in their local schools, elementary and through K through 12 and high school, that's really where the important work of civic education occurs. I was in middle school in 1976. I remember that very, very fondly and distinctly. And I was going to high school as we approached the bicentennial of the Constitution. That's where you learn the most important things. I think one thing we've sometimes done is made civic education too, shall I say, technical. There are certain things you need to learn as a formality. Separation of powers, the important role of the legislative branch, a proper understanding of executive powers. That is all true. But prior to that, in many ways, you needed to teach young people a basic narrative, a story, a history in a very general way that is not focused on taking one side or another in an academic higher education debate, but giving them the grounding they need to build an understanding and appreciation, and yes, a patriotic understanding of their country.
According to this witness, facts alone aren't enough. Before students memorize constitutional details, they should first understand the story of their nation. Supporters believe this builds civic responsibility, while critics argue it risks turning education into ideology. It's a debate that continues to divide educators, lawmakers, and parents across the country.
Tocqueville, as someone had mentioned earlier, the democracy in America. One thing Tocqueville does talk about is this concept of patriotism, and he was struck by how it was different in America as opposed to France. And he observed that patriotism begins in a very local way. It starts out as a sense of instinctive patriotism. Our family, our uncle who fought in the war, our community, our home state. But in a republic, again, it has to ultimately become reflective. and there's this educational additional aspect to it that even Tocqueville saw when he was traveling here. So I think the importance of that, despite all, the academic debate, which will continue, and what many universities are doing, which I think are abandoning much of that, I think in the midst of all that, we shouldn't forget the importance of that deeper sense of civic, patriotic education. And I think to go back to Senator Welch's point, this is the opportunity to do that. We have a moment, a window right now, and for the next 11 years as we approach the 25th anniversary of the Constitution. We have a window into a lot of young people's hearts and minds to learn something about their country, and I think we have an obligation, and that Congress and the institutions of our government have an obligation, because they are teachers as well, to recover that as best they can and to lead us in that direction.
Well, I want to thank you for making that a priority of your career and for doing it now for so many Americans. And I want to thank you on a personal note for doing it for me so many years ago now. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The testimony ends with a broader challenge. The Speaker argues that not only schools, but also Congress and public institutions have a responsibility to strengthen civic education for future generations. Whether you agree or disagree, the question remains the same. Who should shape a nation's identity? The government, the schools, or the families? Let us know what you think in the comments.